There's something beautiful about how early sound design was made. You know, back when things were smaller and crunchier. Like, it's pretty well known how the Super Mario Bros. Sound effects were made with the waves in the sound chip and some clever use of it. But did you know that the Pokemon sounds from the Game Boy were made in a similar manner? The Game Boy as we know it, it's pretty lacking. It's stuck to a set color palette, nothing more than 4 tracks to work with, and pretty minimized graphics. But it gave us one of the most iconic franchises ever, and with it, their beautiful battle cries. Now of course, these days we got real life recordings of animals mixed together to get their iconic growls. But there's something so charming about this old cruncher mix of synths. To produce a sound in a Game Boy, you are only given 4 channels with 4 instruments each. 2 square waves, which you can adjust as you like, used for leads and accompaniment normally, could also be used for sound effects. A wavetable, used for more complex sounds. And a noise channel, mostly percussion. And these old Pokemon sounds were so complicated that they took all 4 channels. Everything else had to be quiet and give space for these crunchy screams of digital monsters for it to work properly. You probably never realized it, but the music cuts off when they scream their guts out. Even when using moves that require the usage of the voice like growl. It's pretty unique, and once I realized that happened, I couldn't unhear it. Hopefully it won't bug you much next time when you want to play these games for whatever reason. You know that there are better options out there now, today, right? The SNES era also has its own quirks with digital monsters. Yoshi is a pretty famous character. I bet it's a lot of people's pick in spin-off games, and is an absolute beast in Smash. But before you had the beautiful sounds made by Totaka, Yoshi sounded like this. Yoshi appeared in the well-known Super Mario World for the SNES, and with him, his iconic sound. This sound was made using a different method. Instead of it taking all the channels, he only took 1 instrument, and was made using the famous orchestral hit. Koji Kondo's orchestral hit. The way it was created was by using a method that I like to call sample manipulation. And all you need to do to recreate the Yoshi noise is to pitch up and down the orchestral hit twice and you'll have it. It's pretty simple and insane to me that one of gaming's most iconic sounds came like this. You know, not to underplay Koji Kondo or anything, but I feel like he was playing around with his keyboard when he eventually got this down. And it's pretty common for a lot of musicians and sound designers' best work to just be made on the fly, which I think is fantastic. But this won't be the last time we'll hear this sound in the game. In fact, it's used in a lot of future titles. But the one we're looking into is...
Welcome to Mario Kart!
Mario Kart 64 is weird. They clearly had more power to work with and a lot more space, yet most of the non-human cast uses some weird stock audio. Yoshi still has the same SNES noise, just chopped and pitched randomly. Bowser uses his Mario 64 growls and cat-like noises. And Donkey Kong is... yeah! Why did they do this? I don't know. It's one stock audio of an angry monkey chopped up and pitched down. In fact, while searching for this video, I found the actual sample. It seems pretty easy to replicate this early concept. The way these audio samples were handled is similar to how the Yoshi's sound was in the SNES, but instead of an orchestral hit, it's just a bunch of pre-recorded samples that are being manipulated in-engine. So it wasn't a size problem, they clearly wanted DK to sound like that. Well, thank God this is not the case now. Imagine Donkey Kong Bonanza with some real-life ape sounds. You know what? I gotta see it. Going back a couple of months, Mario 64 was released, and with it the most well-known voice clips in the history of video games.
It's me, Mario!
Charles' Martinet performance in Mario 64 is perfect. So perfect, in fact, Charles got to voice more than Mario. With the usage of sample manipulation, they were able to create so many sounds. Yes, we all know about the Bowser and Blue laugh just being Mario, but, you know, pitched accordingly. But did you know that the bomb sound effects are also Mario? Well, interestingly, the sound was made using this Mario sample,
Here we go!
where it is pitched and chopped in engine to create the famous ba-bum sound we all know. And apparently both the Goombas and the Monty Moles got the same treatment, which really shines a light on how the devs had to play around, cut some corners, just to get even more content in the cartridge. But overall, things remain like this. All the devices that couldn't use samples used limited waves to create iconic sounds, and the devices that could produce samples played around with the samples they had in store to create new stuff. From now on though, things get a little boring. In future entries, they rely on already created samples to create new sounds, where they just grab the post-processed version and go along with it. The Koopa Troopa gremlin-like noises are just one sample being played. Bob-ombs reuse the same Mario 64 trick. For some reason in certain games, Bowser still has his old weird cat-like noises, even though he had a voice since 2002.
That's so nice!
And Melee's Luigi is Mario pitched up,
Let's go!
but they all follow a similar pattern from now on.
I just love smacking that Princess Peach.
Then came Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion itself is a weird game, not only in aesthetic, but also in sound. Most of the Boos and King Boo's sounds are just one singular laugh sample, being manipulated similarly to how we discussed here before. Same applies to the other non-Boo ghosts. But Luigi itself plays a role in the eeriness. Besides the famous Luigi sound clips, he also whistles the main melody, even completing the song. And that whistle varies depending on how beaten poor Luigi is. Not only that, but the other sound effects are just certain parts of the main theme being played. You know, it ties everything together. To create this is very simple. You just have to have your main melody and have all the sound effects be made from that melody or song. It's a simple motif deal, nothing big, but gives it a lot of personality. On a side note though, the songs in this game are a whole beast by themselves. I really want to make a video about it in the future. Normally, you know, I don't go out of my way to buy a remake, but I just really like Luigi's Mansion. One honorable mention though to Wario Land 4. I know this topic has been talked about to death, but I couldn't talk about early sound design without mentioning this gem of a game. The GBA, even though stronger than its brothers, was still pretty minimized. Only 6 channels play around it, 2 less than the SNES, which means that the devs needed to get creative. Well, this time the Pokemon cries didn't cut off the music, and Wario has a sick-ass voice. Ryoji Yoshitomi is the guy behind most of the sounds and OST of Wario Land 4, and heck, dare I say he did a good job. Wario's voice in the game consists of nothing more than 3 to 8 samples, but in game you hear more than 3 to 8 variations of the lines. Hurry Up has 4 variations, Excellent has 3, he screams a couple of times too, all with different pitches. Which I find great, and a lot of other people do too. Well, there's a whole community of gamers that love this game's OST and sound design, and I cannot blame them. Ryoji certainly did a great job. Interestingly, most of Ryoji's works are on sound design and sound supervisor, which makes sense with the game's clever use of sound design. And sure, this day we got HD quality sounds to create, we got sample mixing and other techniques to make the sounds more unique. But we cannot lie that these older ways to produce and create, these strategies to cut around corners to fit more content, the clever use of archaic programs to its max, it's beautiful. Now of course in this video I couldn't talk about everything I wanted to. There are plenty of other games with other cool concepts and ideas that are fascinating in their own right, like the beautiful weird sounds of Plock. 64's incredibly crunchy audio, and Mother 3 farts? You know what, I think it was good that I didn't talk about that one.